Good evening. So this is my second session. Um, I had a I had a gripe session, my number one gripe session last time was a smaller video. This is my second session. Will be a fuller session. Hopefully, it won't be as long as the last time. I'll just kind of run through some stuff. But anyway, anybody that's on here, I appreciate the view, and um, I hope that I can get my thoughts out pretty clear about what's going on. There's just some things that come up that I've got some opinions about, and like I said, just take a listen, and I'll go ahead and start with what I've got. So um, before I hit some of the heavier subjects, I had a friend of mine get on Facebook yesterday, day before, and and she was ranting, righteously ranting about the VMAs. She watched the VMA awards. I didn't know it was still going. I didn't know they still do the awards or whatever, but I never heard any advertisements for it. But anyway, I stopped watching award shows a long time ago. But she was talking about how scantily clad the people were dressing, especially the women, of course, and how it plays to the minds of men. And that's the goal of it. And like I said, she was righteously correct on how she was ranting about that. So, but I've often thought for a long time that, and anybody who disagrees with me is wrong. But anyway, no, seriously, anybody who disagrees with me, talk to me about it, because I've always thought that the way that Hollywood has changed over the decades and how it gets glammed up for this kinds of stuff. It's not even glammed up anymore. It's not even, it's, I mean, people are wearing like skin tight stuff, see-through stuff, whatever. It's ridiculous. It is really ridiculous. And honestly, not to be allowed, because people complain about, people that are like sexually harassed or groped, or people that like send rude messages over social media accounts. The thing is, if you feed this stuff to them, they're going to keep biting at you. And so you can't expect nothing to happen if you dress a certain way. You say, well, I can dress however way I want to. Well, okay, fine. But the way people work is not how you expect it to be. Coming from a religious standpoint, coming from a faith standpoint, in my perspective, I believe the guy created us. I believe the guy created the world. I don't believe in that evolution junk, but I believe God created us. The problem was, if you read your Bible, we sinned. Adam sinned, Eve sinned. That set the stage for the rest of us. And now we're all sinners because of that. The only one who didn't sin was Jesus. So that being said, our nature is to sin. So when we're tempted with something that is going to make us choose between good or bad, if we don't try, we will opt for bad. And with guys, when it comes to that kind of stuff, we opt for bad. Now I'm saying not me, but generalization speaking, we opt for bad if we don't try. And so you're gonna hear whistles, cat calls, people saying stuff on social media, people saying rude stuff to you in your face, on your Instagram accounts, all that kind of stuff. Facebook, Twitter, whatever. People are gonna say stuff to you that you're gonna hope your mom and dad don't see. So for that reason alone, there shouldn't be any reason to be part of the temptation. There's nothing wrong with being modest in how you dress, and nothing wrong with just showing a little decency in what you wear. So again, like I said, VMAs, award shows, all that kind of stuff, I don't watch that kind of stuff because it's all egotistical stuff. Whatever. It's themselves patting on themselves on the back, whatever. I don't watch that kind of stuff. So, but like I said, she was justified in her rant about that, because People need to take responsibility for how they look, honestly. Yeah, you can dress however you want to, whatever, but there's going to be ramifications for that, whether you like it or not. I'm not justifying the ramifications because, like I said, people will handle things the way they handle it. I choose to turn away. I choose to not look. So that's me. Going into the sports. Since the last time I got on here, there was a lot of people in the sports world that were cutting off the games, postponing the games, canceling the games, whatever you want to call it, refusing to play, to take a stand. Basketball mainly making a point like that, but baseball following suit as well. Football teams protesting in a way that they weren't going to practice. I hate to deliver this bad news to the NBA if they haven't already heard, but their ratings are kind of bad anyway. And listen, I'm not poking fun. I mean, well, okay, I am, but the sad thing is, I grew up watching the NBA. I love basketball. I love playing basketball, watching it. I grew up on Jordan, Bird, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Dennis Rodman, Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, all those guys, and watched Shaq, Kobe, all those guys too. And they all had a platform. I remember Barkley back in the day. Someone must have called him out on something that he did, something that he did during a game, whatever. And he said, "I'm not a role model. You shouldn't be following me." The problem is that people watch you. When you're a celebrity, when you're a professional athlete, you're on TV, especially nowadays with social media, people watch you. People follow you. People imitate you because they want to be like you. They think, okay, if he gets away with it, why shouldn't I? That follows suit, like I said, even more so today, tenfold, 20-fold. People will listen. Kids will listen to what they say, how they talk, how they treat people, how they act during a game, after the game, to the media. So you have to be careful what kind of a precedent you set with everybody else. There's got to be a reminder to athletes about that kind of stuff. The protesting this, the violence and all that kind of stuff. I get that. And there's nothing wrong with protesting. We have the right to do it. But what I will say is not all the facts were out, because some of it was about this Jacob Blake story. Not all the facts were out about it, but yet people were already vilifying the cops before they made this decision, before facts started coming out about it. So that being said, I get the protest, but once you come out and hear some more facts and see where the fault lies, if it was the cops' fault that they did this, if they thought too quickly and incorrectly when they did this, yeah, go ahead. No, I'm doing music. But they're getting ahead of themselves when they protest and they don't even know the whole story. So that's my complaint about that. Go ahead and protest once you find out more details and find out who's at fault. But excuse me. But to put yourself out there on a podium like this, we're going to protest. We're not going to play a game. And I I don't care if the protests happen. I don't care if you protest a game because of what you believe, what you don't believe, whatever. But if you're not playing because of something like this, and you're making a choice the whole team's sitting out, well, then in my opinion, you just saved the owners a bunch of money, because you shouldn't be paid, because this is your own personal choice. You are on someone's payroll. That's just something to think about. I'm not vilifying them. but you're on someone's payroll. People are expecting to watch you because they want to watch. They've been missing it. People have been missing out for the last several months on everything. Vacations, work, even trip, watching stuff on TV. I was over at my parents' house a couple months ago, and on ESPN, it was what kind of tournament was it? Cornhole tournament. There's nothing else going on. It's a cornhole tournament. We watched it. We watched it because there was nothing else on. People have been craving sports to get a reality. So, granted, they're not at our beck and call, but think about your platform and what level you're on when you're playing, and the fact that you're able to wear slogans on your jersey to represent something you believe in, someone's name, whatever. Use that. Keep playing, but use your jersey or whatever it is to make a statement. Use your social media platform to make a statement. But think about what you're taking away from everybody else by protesting because of information you don't know enough about yet. Anyway, so that's my rant about that. And like I said, baseball games are doing that too, and they're already canceling or postponing games because of teams that might be breaking out with the virus and needing to quarantine and all that kind of stuff. So this was just on top of that. The next thing was something that I just recently saw was about Nancy Pelosi going to a beauty salon and not wearing a mask. I don't know if it's one that she's a regular at, or if she just happened to go in one and was wanting to support it or whatever. I don't know. But I want to know why the person that owned the shop didn't say, "Hey, you need to wear a mask." And if I'm not mistaken, she's older. I think she's been around since the early 80s as far as her current profession, as a public servant for 25 years, 40 years, however long it is, 40 years, I guess. So I'm guessing she's up there because I don't think she was the youngest person to get elected when she was first elected in California. But she's got to be up there in age, so which means she's more susceptible to catching stuff, according to doctors and whatnot. So I don't know why she's not wearing a mask. But this goes along with the lines of do as I say, not as I do. And that's not what politicians are supposed to do. Politicians are public servants. Politicians are supposed to be an example. Politicians are supposed to represent their people. And that's not very representative. If you have a law in your state that businesses have to require people to wear masks, no one's above the law. Especially Nancy Pelosi, when she's got a visible, not target, that's the wrong choice of words, when she's got people have sights on her and watching her, people like the media taking photo ops and whatever, people are going to see that. And you have to be better than that. You have to be a better example than that. Put the dang mask back on. If I got to do it, you got to do it. Anyway, plus she may want to get her money back from the salon. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Also, I saw something about a couple of different people about polls and how, I forget what news organization it was that was putting up the polls and how Biden's numbers over Trump were there was a decent sized gap or whatever, but they stopped reporting it before the Republican National Convention. Because apparently that's when Trump's numbers started picking back up. And so, again, watch your news sources. Make sure they're credible. Make sure they're telling you everything, full story. Again, polls don't matter until the actual election day. But again, if you are also against this voter fraud stuff, this voting issue about mail-in votes, there is a difference between mail-in votes and absentee ballots, and the people have to understand that absentee ballots are different than regular mail-in votes. It's something you have to request. It's not something that's just given out willy-nilly to anybody who wants to do it and their dead relatives and illegals and whoever else they want to get votes from. But you can't. The mail-in vote needs to be something that it's that if you want to vote, they should make an exception for the virus. Put that on there as well when you're doing the absentee ballots. Put it on there. Say, I don't want to go out there because I don't want to breathe on anybody, and I don't want anybody breathing on me while I'm voting. Check the box, send it in, but request it yourself. Don't these mail-in vote things, massive ballot mail-outs or whatever it's just not going to work. I mean, there have been many times where things have been delayed or not even sent at all or lost in the mail or torn up. Again, I've said this before, I believe, but I'm sure there are credible post people out there, post men and women out there who are doing a job well done, but it doesn't speak for everybody. Just like people have issues with cops. I'm sure there are some cops with bad names out there who are giving the cops in general a bad name because of the bad job they're doing. But that doesn't speak for all cops. So that being said, you know, if there shouldn't be a massive mail out of ballots. There shouldn't be a massive influx of mail of ballots. If you want to stay home, if you don't want to go out in public and vote, then that should be something where you require an absentee ballot, and they should make an exception for something like this. That to me would be a good compromise. But if Nancy Pelosi can go to a beauty salon and get her hair did without wearing a mask, I think we can vote in person. Also, so I live in Virginia. Northam is my governor currently. Even though I disagree with him, I will admit he is my governor. So like people should admit Trump is their president if they don't agree with him. Anyway, he just recently endorsed LeVar Stoney to be the mayor of Richmond again, bringing endorsement. Endorsing somebody who months ago said, or actually, I guess about a year ago when the whole blackface thing came out with the yearbook thing and all that kind of stuff, said that Northam should resign. So take that for what it's worth. But he said something about LeVar Stoney turning the city around and whatever. I don't know about that. I don't see that as, I don't know what he turned around. That's still up for debate, I guess. But anyway, I just find that laughable because both of them are ridiculous. Anyway, the other thing, one of the bigger things that's coming out now is that the Democrats, especially Biden and Harris, who are all of a sudden, at least Biden is, coming out and finally saying that the violence should stop. And it's kind of funny that they're saying that after they're seeing the dip in his approval rating and the rise in Trump's approval rating. Trump has been doing this for months now, since the riots and looting started. He's been condemning it. He's been talking about law enforcement and offering help to cities that have completely flat out just told him no. And he's been doing this for a while. So for the Democrats, thanks to Don Lemon cheering them on and saying, hey, it's time to end the violence now, are finally saying that it's a little bit too late. It's several hundred businesses too late that are not in existence anymore. It's too many people too late that are not in existence anymore. It's too many millions of dollars in damage too late that the city is going to have to help out these businesses with, and the city damage, property damage, all that kind of stuff. They're going to have to. The ones that are denying the president's help at all for any kind of assistance to end the riots and the violence, it's coming out of their pocket. And it's going to make them look bad because they're trying to make Trump look bad. Listen, you can say what you want to about Trump. You can say that, he needs to delete his Twitter account. Maybe he does. To me, there's a lot of times where I feel like he kind of tweets a little bit too anxiously. Doesn't say things the way they should be worded. Maybe he needs to rethink how they're worded. Regardless, the fact is he's been pro law enforcement as far as getting these situations to be controlled to where people don't have to go out of their houses in fear of anything that might happen. I'm seeing videos of people being intimidated, shouted down for different reasons. I'm seeing people that are representatives of these organizations that are rioting and looting, that are calling out for violence against the cops and saying it's not going to end. To me, that's a terrorist threat, domestic terrorist threat. And Pelosi has got nerves calling President Trump a terrorist threat, domestic threat, when he's not destroying anybody. These stupid mayors and governors that are denying his help, that are letting this stuff happen, are the ones that are being ridiculous. They're being stubborn. It's like they're being little kids. They're holding on. I'm not going to let you have my toy. You can't play with it right now. It's mine. They're doing this to make him look bad, when all it's doing is making them look bad. It's making them look selfish. It's making them look foolish, honestly. To let their cities burn to the ground, to let violence run amok over their cities, where innocent people are dying, or getting hurt at least. Cops are getting hurt or dying. To let it go without any sense of loss or any sense of feelings or emotions about what's happening in their city. They just don't care. They don't care. They don't want to cave in and say, all right, President, please help us out, or whatever. Grow up, show some integrity, and work with the president. Work with people that he wants to help out. He wants peace back in these cities where it's not there anymore. And so people are just playing politics too much. It's ever since he's taken office, people have been playing politics too much. It started from the House, people in the Senate, just trying to stonewall him at every turn. And all they do is they make themselves look like the idiots that they really are. So anyway, and if you go back to the start of the virus, Trump was the first one to put a ban on travel, when everybody else was saying, oh, no, it's fine. Y'all just go ahead and party. Pelosi was in Chinatown partying and said, oh, no, we're fine. We're doing fine. Come out, party, have fun. We're hanging out, whatever. Spit on everybody, breathe on everybody. It's no big deal. But Trump was the one saying all this stuff, saying we need to ban this. We need to ban the travel here. We got to start, he started listening to the different doctors, saying we need a social distance and all that kind of stuff. So he's been ahead of the game. Whether you like it or not, he's been ahead of the game. And could he have handled it better? I don't know. Would you have handled it better? Given the information you were given and having the people, the nitwits that you had to work with in Congress, specifically the House of Representatives, would you have been able to do any better? The problem is he's darned if he does, darned if he doesn't. If he does executive orders, then it looks like he's abusing his power. If he doesn't, he's not doing enough. You can't have it both ways. And now these numbers, and now I saw something floating around on Facebook, Twitter, Parler, whatever, of the CDC statement with the new some kind of new figures going on. I was trying to find it before I went live on here or whatever, but something about the figures being even lower than what we assumed or what we've been told. And it's kind of one of those kind of figures that makes you think like, well, wait a minute, why am I still wearing this mask? If this is what the rate is, and I'm healthy, so-and-so is healthy or whatever, but it's kind of like one of those figures that puts, I guess, like I said, I couldn't find it on the page. I didn't know where to look. That's my first time being on the page, so I don't know where to look for it. I just saw percentages and things like that, but I didn't see any kind of breakdown of what I saw on social media. So anyway, If you got a link to that, post it in comments so I can find out what that was, if you know what I'm talking about. But it basically was kind of putting things in perspective, saying, look, even with the common cold, people that are susceptible when they catch a cold have a higher chance of catching pneumonia than people that are healthier, that are not as susceptible. And if they have pneumonia, if they're older or whatever, the risk for them not surviving that is higher than others. And that's kind of what they're saying with this. So I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, then why are we even wearing these masks anymore? If that's the truth, if that's a true statement, everybody's supposed to be following the CDC because they don't want to listen to Trump anymore, then why are we still wearing masks? Why are we still social distancing? Why are things being shut down still? The numbers were skewed from the beginning anyway. And I don't even know if I can't remember if I mentioned this in some other videos or not, but the numbers were skewed from the beginning anyway, because if someone passed away that had COVID, they marked that as a COVID death when it may not have been COVID that caused the death. It may have been something else. Could have died in a car accident and they had COVID. Well, it's COVID. Because the hospitals were trying to get money from the government, I guess. They were getting like $35,000 a pop or something like that. I don't know what the actual figures were, but they were getting some kind of kickback if it was a COVID death, which skewed the numbers. And what people don't get about that, I don't know, that the numbers were skewed. So the numbers that are actually on the website are not correct, because no one took the time to do an autopsy. They just did it and we're done. So you can't really justify that number. Secondly, people are going, oh, there's over 6 million cases now. 6 million cases. Yeah, that's so many tests. So let me break this down into something simple for everybody to understand. With the cases, that's just how many tests have been done. But you can also have someone who goes and gets tested once a week, and it counts as a new case. So again, those numbers are skewed. They're not broken down by how many actual tests for that different individuals have had. Again, it's a case. It's just a test. They haven't gotten the results yet, but tell them so many cases are out. So many tests are being done so far. Again, the numbers are skewed, but people still cry. There's 6 million cases. Can you believe that? 6 million cases? That's just tests, not actual people who have it. That number is smaller. And then the number of people who are going to survive that, those people who don't survive it, that number is going to be smaller. And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So anyway, this is my rant. This is my stick for the night. During all this mess, all this stuff going on, all this negativity going on in the media, being negative about everything, not forthcoming with information, or ranting and raving about how Biden is finally condemning the violence now and all that kind of stuff, and acting as if Trump never did. I look at all this stuff and I could easily say, you know what, I don't want to watch the news anymore. That's just depressing to me. So I'm not going to. I could easily say that. I want to stay current. I want to say what's going on and all that. But at the same time, I've mentioned this before about my faith. I know that God's in control. I know that ultimately he wins, despite how many people are evil out there and how many people are out there to deceive. I know he wins. I know he's in control. And we were supposed to have a party last week or last Saturday with my family for my son's birthday. And people in the weathermen were saying 80% chance of rain, 80% chance of rain. So we moved it to Sunday night. We could have had it Saturday. There was no rain because ultimately God's in control of the weather. So find yourself a church. Even if you don't go, even if you're not going in person anywhere, find yourself a church online. Watch them as they're doing live services. They're doing them all the time on Facebook. Mine's doing live I get there's others that I've visited before when I've traveled that I follow on Facebook that I've seen their live services as well, and I see them doing it all the time. That's where you need to get the truth from. That's where you need to get the real news from, not the stuff going on today, because there's no you can't trust anybody that's on the news giving out the news, because you don't know what kind of angle they're coming from. So anyway, this definitely was shorter than last time. Hopefully you guys will listen to the views and make comments if you want, questions, whatever. Pass the news around, subscribe so you get alerts of when I'm on here again. I'm trying to do at least one of these sessions a week, if not two, if I have time. I said it before, I did a little mini gripe session sometime last week. I was in my car waiting to pick up my kids from school, and it was just like a 5-10 minute thing or whatever. But anyway, I try to get on here as much as I can when I have a plate full of information to give out. So anyway, again, subscribe so you get notifications, pass the word around, share it. I'd love to be able to see more people watching this. And you have a good night.